DeconvertedMan here to talk about the comments and the video that I just did, because that's the thing that I do. Whew, what a ride. So, I did this open letter to towards a particular YouTuber, Captain Andy, where I say, don't tell people not to debate. Debate's a good thing. Debate's a educational tool. And oh yeah, by the way, you're wrong about debate being something where you can teach someone else. That is a type of dialogue, and all dialogues can be looked at in the debate lens, through the debate lens. You can call information exchange a debate, and you'd be technically right. That's it. Pretty simple and straightforward, right? Well, wrong. If you read through the comment section, you have to kind of step back and go, what happened here? It seems like we're on a railroad track and we just jumped rails and now we're off in La La Land because we're talking about feminism. Why? That's barely related at all to the video at hand. Yes, it happens to be that Captain Andy's addressing a known prominent feminist and telling Steve not to debate somebody, not that Steve would debate somebody anyways, about a topic. And his video comes pretty late into the game because that video where Sargon challenges Steve is pretty old by now, at least relatively speaking. So it's not like it came out the day after Sargon made his video or anything, or maybe I just don't even know what date it came out, because when I watched it, to me it's like, well, I don't know, I'm not looking at the dates, so I thought it came out recently. I don't know what the bleep I'm doing. But nonetheless, if I had just made that video, not directed at anybody, and just said, okay, today I'm going to talk about what debate is, the types of dialogue in it, why it can be useful, why we need to encourage debate, why we should watch debates, why we should listen to debates, analyze them, talk about them, think about them, the pros and cons of them, whether or not they influence the speakers themselves or the audience or what have you, what intrinsic value, if any, there is to a debate, why it's good that society has them, etc. All of that, which is all good stuff to talk about. If that had just been the video in and of itself, it wouldn't have gotten this many hits. It wouldn't have gotten the comment section to explode the way it did. So what happened? And why? Now, I think that I've got the YouTube formula figured out, and this channel is never going to get giant because I'm never going to do it. It's make short videos with short comments about the thing that you're going after. It's make funny, witty, quick comments, and sometimes the content of what you're making, the words that you have to use because you have a restricted time limit, become less than they could have been. Your analysis is brief and short and very much surface level of what it could have been. So as a result, the big YouTubers, although entertaining and very helpful for the smaller YouTubers because they bring in the crowd first, and then that crowd says, oh, here's somebody small, go over to them. So they're absolutely needed, and this is no way to nothing against them, but what I'm saying is, because that's what's popular, it does force the people to do it a certain way, and I am not going to do it that way. It's not how I do things. I like to talk. I like to analyze and sometimes overanalyze things, and that can take time. I mean, my video length is anywhere from a few minutes to 2 hours, so that's a lot of time to invest in a YouTube video. And I appreciate those who have watched my content all the way through. I think somebody a while back, quite some time ago actually, had said that they had just finished watching this entire series that I had done, and I'm like, wow, that's like a movie length of time. what do I say to that? I was like, thanks. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, wow, I can't believe you did that. Like, I want people to do that, but it's like, wow, yeah, I spent even more time making it. But I don't care because I enjoy it. But anyways, so on the one side, if I make the video about feminism, for example, I'll get a ton of views, a ton of comments, a ton of traffic will come my way. And in that sense, I can promote the facts about informal logic, which is something that I care about, something that I want to promote. I want people to learn and understand informal logic better than even I do. I want people to use it and utilize it correctly. I want people to adhere to the rules of it and not use it as some sort of tool that they only half understand. I enjoy debates where you can tell everybody involved in the debate absolutely understands logic and everybody is adhering the best that they can to those rules. I just plussed a video like that, and I'll even link it in the description below. It is a fantastic debate. The way it's handled, the way both sides are presented is absolutely riveting, at least from my perspective. I enjoyed the bleep out of it. It is how I want to debate from now on. Although yes, there are kind of a couple of hiccups as far as pauses and saying the word and things like this, which you would expect from anybody, really. And so it takes practice and time to give a 5-10 minute presentation without pauses. It takes time and energy and effort and a certain amount of intrinsic talent, perhaps, to be able to say a scripted thing verbatim without any hiccups. And like a play, you might have to rehearse it over and over again. So, there's a lot of effort to be put into that sort of thing. And all of that I find fascinating. Others don't, and that's okay. But I don't think that anyone, I hope that nobody would, argue against debate being useful. We have an open market on ideas, or at least we're supposed to have that. Whether or not we actually have that is maybe another issue of debate. But in that open market, everything and anything should be able to be challenged, critically analyzed, scrutinized, and dug into to see if it's true, if it contains any truth, what falsehood it contains, and be exposed and be fully transparent for all, so everyone can make up their own mind about whether or not that this is a good thing, and should they agree with it or disagree with it, and why. And that makes, having that open society of ideas makes for a stronger society as a whole, and promotes advancements in technology, medicine, and even well-being and enjoyment of life in and of itself. And understanding our differences as individuals and as groups within the society that we have helps us understand how to get along with those groups, and rather than attacking each other physically over a disagreement, we can sit down and rationally hash out how to handle a situation so that doesn't escalate into violence, or if we're going to have something be violent, that violence is controlled, like say in a boxing ring or a wrestling match, or some sort of competition like the Olympics or whatever, where the victor could just be like, whoever wins this competition, that's the one that wins this debate, because that's how we're going to decide to do things. But it's still a controlled system. Whichever way we go, be it intellectual route or physical route or a combination thereof, that still needs a system in place of some sort so that we don't go to war. And I think that is something that everybody, I hope, would want to get behind, that idea of let's find a way to prevent loss of life, because we value life. We value all life. I'd like to think that we all do, at any rate. So my quandary, my problem that I'm seeing is, okay, I got a lot of views and a lot of attention, but a lot of things that just aren't related to the video and the topic at all. Here I've presented the facts. Information exchange is a type of dialogue, and you can look at that as debate, and you can call it debate, and you're right, it is. Every type of dialogue can be seen as a debate. All questions contain premises in them. Every statement that I'm making right now can be analyzed and scrutinized. We can do that with normal, natural conversation. We tend not to, because when we're just having a conversation, we're not gonna demand that somebody tells us, shows and proves to us that they had dinner. If they're saying, I had dinner yesterday or last night or whatever, and we're not gonna be, oh yeah, prove it. Where's the evidence? Show me what you had and how you whatever. We don't do that. It's just not how we function. But we could do it. And there might or might not be any value to that sort of nitpicky, analytical thing. But there's nothing saying that doing that is wrong either, at least not that I'm aware of. But what did happen? Here we have a topic about something very simple and straightforward, but in the comment section we have it exploding off into a red herring tangent about feminism, which isn't really what the video is about. But it's that video I'm responding to is connected very, to sort of ish. It is connected to feminism, so therefore we're going to talk about it. And by doing that, it gets a lot of views. So if I just label my video I could label my videos incorrectly and say feminism, and then the video is totally not about feminism, and that way I get more people, but then people would figure out that I'm just labeling my videos incorrectly and be like, DeconvertedMan, he's just getting attention. And then it wouldn't work. It would work for maybe 2 or 3 videos, but it's also dishonest, so that wouldn't be right. Or I could just make my videos be about feminist issues and still implore logic and critical thought, but I'd rather go after religion, because I understand Christianity and to some extent other religions better than I do this particular topic, and I feel like there's already YouTubers that do a better job of going after feminism or men's rights activists or what have you far better than I could anyways. So let them do it. It's not something that I'm gonna be good at doing, but at the same time, if I did do it, I could get a lot of views and people commenting on the video. So it's humanity. What it is we like drama. We like to argue. We like to fling words at each other, and there is something that we really enjoy, at least it seems like we enjoy it, or that we find attractive in engaging in adversarial word combat. That is something that we seem to be attracted to. Some people are repulsed by it, but some people are attracted to and repulsed by, say, boxing. I don't like boxing, but at the same time, when I've watched it, it's ew, I can see that, I can understand and see how somebody would be attracted to that, and I can also understand why I'm not attracted to it. So there's arguments to be made for both sides, but at the end of the day, it's just my personal subjective, I like it versus I don't like it. Ice cream is delicious versus ice cream is not delicious. Then there comes the deeper issue of a different claim that we could make, staying with the analogy of ice cream. If I say ice cream's poisonous, that's a very different claim then ice cream is delicious. It has a different value to it. It's more important now. I've raised the stakes. If it is poisonous, then we need to be aware of that. And technically, you could say, yes, it's poisonous if you're lactose intolerant, but would we really call that poisonous? Well, if you're very allergic to lactose, yeah, it is poisonous to you. So on a very technical level, yeah, it's poisonous to those people in this way. So should we call it poisonous? No, we need to find a different word, and that's where natural language word problems come into play. And we can play off those problems to promote ourselves and our ideas. By saying ice cream is poisonous in a video and then making the argument in case that it's poisonous to people that are lactose intolerant, I'm being honest, but I'm kind of being deceptive in a way. Advertisements do this all the time to us. They say, this car is really fantastic, it does all these things, and that's true, but so do every other car, just about. The only real difference is how it looks and maybe how many miles it can go and gas mileage and stuff like that. It's very, very minor differences when you actually examine the cold, hard facts. But it's still something that we put a greater weight on. If somebody says ice cream is poisonous, that's a very different sort of statement that they've made, because it can harm somebody. Ice cream's delicious, ice cream's not delicious, it's somebody's opinion, who cares? And so when we talk about a social issue and a social structure, and we say, oh, it's real or it's based on baloney, that can really impact people positively or negative, because if it is based on baloney, then we need to blow that out of the water. We don't need stuff around that's based on baloney. We need stuff that's based on real facts. We don't want to keep stuff, or I would hope that we don't want to keep stuff around that's not based on actual things. And so when we examine something that's kind of nebulous and fairly big and it's been around for a while, like feminism or the men's rights movement or any of these social groups, we're examining something that can be and is for many people very important and very near and dear to their hearts. This is why I've made the comparison in the past between examining religion and examining these issues. And people take it to heart just as people take it to heart when you criticize and question God. It is something near and dear to them. Although whether or not we want to call it a religion or it is a religion is kind of a side note to me. I'm more interested in why people think it's true and what are the actual facts. Like, why do people believe in creationism? And there's a lot of reasons, but it's mainly driven by a religious adherence to a particular doctrine. So why do people believe in, say, the wage gap? Well, it's a particular doctrine that's been popularized and hammered into many people's minds. It kind of exists in a superficial way. Yes, there is a gap, and depending on how you look at those numbers, you can see gaps there, but when you analyze further, you can also see that there really isn't a gap, that if women behaved the exact same way as men do in their work, that there would be absolutely no gap at all. But because we're different people and we have different needs, we're going to have differences in how we're paid. And although it's technically true, it's also kind of not true. So we're misleading ourselves and each other on a deeper level, but maybe there's some issue that's at the core of it. The concern is people don't seem to be treated fairly, and that's not right. So what can we do to change that perception or change the reality itself? If people really aren't being treated equally, that's a real problem. If it's just a perception, who cares? That's just how you feel, big deal, move on. It's only a real problem if it's a real problem. If it's a perceived problem, then what is it about your perception that could be off? And now you're talking about, oh, I'm wrong? Oh, you better not say I'm wrong. I'm going to eat you now. Blah, 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 And so now we get defensive and and we've tribalismed ourselves because it's them versus us, and it's the establishment, it's the conspiracy theory, it's the government's covering up the UFOs. Patriarchy is everywhere. That's what's really going on. No, it's the immigrants. It's all their fault. We need scapegoats. We need something to be the problem. The problem is sin. The problem is that people don't have God. The problem is that there's not prayer in school anymore. That's why everything's so bad. The problem's the president. The problem's politics. The problem's the system. The problem's America. The problem is that not everybody agrees with me. And we're so engrossed in the nitty-gritty, pointless parts on the surface that many times we don't get to the root problem itself. We engage in heuristic dialogue when we should be engaging in one of the other types of dialogue. And I see it, and I recognize it, and I know it's a problem, but people are attracted to the drama. And that's the way it is. That's human nature. All of this is a result of how we are as animals. We are evolved and evolving animals. We're part of this world. We're part of this universe, and this universe is part of us. No matter what our differences in opinion over X, Y, and Z is, there will be a fact about X, Y, and Z. The question is, are we willing to accept the facts, or are we going to allow our own personal feelings about it to interfere with our ability to accept fact? As long as we're willing to question whatever it is we hold most dear, we can be skeptical about everything. And the moment that we find something that we're too passionate about to question is the moment that we begin to become fundamental and hold to doctrines about that particular idea. It's up to us as individuals to decide which way to go, and it's up to us as individuals to encourage each other to go the way that we want them to go. Do we see a society built on people that have chosen emotion, or do we see a society built on those who have chosen fact? Well, to be honest, it seems like we've chosen emotion for a lot of our history. And we've chosen fact in other parts of our history. And sometimes it seems one is winning over the other. And it might be that neither side will ever win. Maybe it's a balance that we need. I don't really know. And is there value in choosing one over the other? Or does it depend on what you're talking about? These are not easy questions. Because these are the questions I would like all of you to consider in the comment section below. All 5 of you that are watching. Until next time, remember, unless and until we have a logically coherent argument, we must be skeptical of the lobsters. No, it's not lobsters. I promised I wouldn't mention lobsters.